Welcome into the Jackson Postcast, behind the paywall, as we like to call it on our digital end of the Jackson Post, where we are starting a weekly podcast with Brandon Shields and myself. But I'm also doing podcasts based on my feature stories that I will be writing monthly for the Jackson Post. And my first guest on the Postcast, my first feature story for the Jackson Post, is local artist Chance Mitchell. Chance, how are you doing on this glorious, warm, late March Friday spring afternoon?
I'm doing good, knowing I'm your very first interview
Very
for this
first.
podcast. I'm actually off for once. I got a lot going on. School full-time, work full-time, and a full-time internship. So I've been at
Whew.
home, not spending money and chilling.
Hey, that's the best way to do it. Like, I'm 45 years old, and I always try to think, like, how can I just find a way to stay home and not spend money? And like, if you know the secret or the answer to that secret, please let me know. So before we started recording, you said you were born and raised in Jackson, and we both have that in common. I was born and raised here as well. So first question I always ask people who are born and raised in Jackson: where'd you go to high school? What part of town did you grow up in? Jackson, it's got a lot of people in it, but it feels like a small town.
I'm from South Jackson, so South Elementary to West Middle to South Side.
So you stayed all. So you're a South Jackson kid all the way through.
Yeah, but I'm more like Meaden. I'm deep south, Meaden and Pinson area.
Whoa,
You
yeah.
know,
That is.
I hung out in Melissa's and Bemis a lot too, though.
It's funny. Like, if I'm coming from the Savannah area, Selma or whatever, and I'm coming up 45, when you get to Pinson, you think you're in Jackson. You think you made it back,
You start
but
seeing signs, yeah.
you think you did, but you're not. Then there's a whole other like 3 mile stretch of just you're out in the country again. Then you make it into South Jackson. So yeah, you're in the deep South. You're in the deep South out there. I always say Jackson's basically like three towns in one. You've got North Jackson, you've got Midtown, and you got South Jackson.
What I don't understand is how Memphis is built like a circle. You can get from north to south Memphis in 15 minutes. But Jackson, we're built like a line, and it takes 40 minutes to get from south to north.
When I was a kid, my grandparents would take Sunday drives. I guess that's how they'd get me to sleep. And we would start out north and drive all the way south, and then come back. Well, I grew up in Midtown, and then come back from South Jackson and stop in Midtown. I'd be asleep by then. But yeah, you're right. It's like a long line. It takes forever. It's worse now than it was when I was a kid because of traffic and all that. So you went to Southside. When did you graduate from Southside? What year?
2014.
Okay, so you've been out for a good decade now. You coming up in your 10-year high school reunion, right?
I set it up.
You did. You were the one behind that. Oh, wow. How did it go? Did it go over okay?
We had an original planner, shout out to Hope Conley, and she does things right and she does things good. Her plan didn't account for people's budget. No downside to her. Like, I paid it and other people paid it, but we wanted everybody involved. So we all just met up at Melissa's Park and I grilled hot dogs and burgers.
That's awesome. That's great. Yeah. You had a lot of people show up?
Like 19 out of probably 50 something. It wasn't the biggest, but the
That's not
important
bad.
people were there.
There you go. You were there, right? So that's
Yeah.
you were there, and so that's all that matters. Were you are an artist signed to a record label, and we're going to get into that part of your present life right now. But when you were in high school, were you already performing? Did you have an interest in performing? Did you have an interest in music, anything like that at that early of an age?
I got into band playing drums in sixth grade. I was going to play French horn, but my best friend said that that's lame and I was going to get bullied, so I should play drums. So I joined them. All the way to eighth grade is when I officially got into rap. There was a new student from Memphis named Brian Fuller. I'm still friends with him today. He's a great guy. He instantly became popular for rapping, and if I'm honest with you, it sounds shallow, but I started rapping to be like Brian and be popular and have friends.
Hey,
But
look, everybody does that in middle school.
but
Maybe not rapping.
but I kept up with it, and yeah, it's been rapping for 16 years now, and it's something I love, you know.
So about 10 years ago, I was teaching middle school at Northeast Middle, actually here in Jackson. And I can remember kids would have these pre-made beats on their phone, right?
Hmm.
And so they would just like start one of these beats and they would just start rapping like just off the top. Is that how you got into it as well? Same kind of deal like that? Like you would just
Yeah,
have
I
a
was
beat and
writing
then you would
lyrics
just
at
go?
home and stuff, but we definitely were in the cafeteria and classroom banging on the desks and tables until the teachers came and got us.
So on those cold opens or whatever, can you just come up with lyrics off the top of your head based on the beat?
Um, if I'm honest with you, I don't really freestyle. I
Okay.
enjoy the writing process. A lot of times I do come up with concepts and I put myself in the box and try to elaborate and create something out of that context.
Okay.
I've done it before, but I do feel like it's a waste of time. I have a home studio myself. I record people. They come in freestyling. They got to pay me for 3 hours, and they've got one verse because they freestyled, Or I'll freestyle with friends, and then at the end of it, I said some good bars, but I don't remember any of it. It all went to
Right.
nothing, you know.
Some of the stuff I would listen to, and I tried it a couple times, and I was terrible at it. I would just freeze up. I couldn't because you think like some of the kids I would listen to, like man, they're doing this so naturally. It can't be that hard. And then it is that
It's
hard.
like a muscle. You get better at it. Several of my friends, that's what they do, and they're a lot better at it than me. But I'm not willing to put in the.
So when you were in middle school and you're playing the drums and your new friend from Memphis had moved down, did he introduce you to any artists that you really like, gravitated towards, or was it just more of like his effect and him liking that rap music? That's what got you liking it as well.
It was more of his effect. The original artists I got into was like Lil Jon and the East Side Boys, Young Jock, Ludacris was my favorite, and he's still relevant today. The others have kind of died off. Eminem when he was in Detroit before he had a solo thing going. Those were like the original four.
Okay. Since you are a white hip hop artist, do you ever make Eminem jokes? Is that a thing? Is it like
When I
because
first
he
started rapping, people were calling me Skittles from the first day to like compare to Eminem. And but what's crazy is my name's Chance, and in high school, a rapper called Chance the Rapper became famous. And ever
Mhm.
since that day, I mean, my name was changed. My life has never been the same. When people, I don't even mention I rap yet, and people are like Chance the Rapper. I'm like,
You're like,
oh,
well, actually, that's a good introduction. Let me tell you what I do. Did you ever get like how quick did it take you to get tired of people calling you Skittles? Because that's just the most obvious thing, right? Like,
I just brushed it off. I was pretty cool with everybody. It was more joking around.
so you got into rap in middle school. You were already performing with drums, right? But it's a whole different thing when you're up in front of people performing something that you've created or that you've written. When was the first time you ever performed something that you wrote or you created in front of a group of people?
I performed at several parties in middle school and high school. A bonfire in the woods, in the country, playing some music, and they would like plug up a karaoke mic where I just rap loud enough. But first performance, man. First official, like it was planned, probably at church camp. I'll be honest with you. Inglewood Baptist Church, that's where I interned. Shout out to them.
Okay.
But at every church camp, Josh Allen, my youth pastor, would let me rap, and I would always come up with a Christian rap.
How long did it take you to create one, to come up with one on the
I
spot?
if I had to estimate, I could come up with a song in a week, and I could come up with a verse within the day.
Wow.
When I write, I refine it. I'll rough draft the song, cut out the bad, keep the good, and try to run off the good. So I'll create a song and then revise it 2 or 3 times before the finished product comes out. So I'm not one of these guys that can drop songs 5 in one day.
Yeah, that's a
But
lot.
I would say the quality is there, and I'm fast enough to keep up.
As a writer, it's obviously I don't write music, but I do write, and I'm always curious to know about other artists' writing process. And you said that like, you're going to refine it. You take out the bad and you accentuate the good or you leave in the good. When you say take out the bad, I know this could be a broad question, but for you lyrically, like what are some things that you as a writer, sometimes like a bad habit you have that when you go back and you look, oh man, that's bad. What does bad look like? in a lyric.
When you try to force a lot of words to make a statement in a bar, the cadence might not be there. And then sometimes
Mm.
things just sound corny. But a lot of times it's the cadence. So if I'm rapping da 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 da, that's cool. But if I'm da 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 da, I don't know. I'm trying to make it sound bad, but a lot of times the cadence, the flow itself is as important as the lyrics. You could say the
I,
same words, but in the way and how you say it can change the whole energy.
right. Like what syllable you accentuate here, the way you hit, right, a certain part of a word or a sound. Yeah, I get it. Like there's probably a lot of alliteration or different types of figure of language that work better in rap than, an article, for example. When you're writing in your head, are there times where something sounds really good and then you go into like actually sing or rap it out loud and you're like, that doesn't work. That doesn't sound anything like it did
Yeah,
in
that
my head.
happens. A lot of times I'll have a word in my head or a few words that I want to rhyme together and try to formulate something. I'll write the word I'm trying to rhyme with at the end of each bar, and I will come up with, I'll dud it. I guess that's from my band experience. We had to
Mm.
dut beats before we played them just to make sure we can mentally understand it. And so I would come up with cadences, and sometimes when things don't fit, I'll dut out lyrics, dut the syllables, count the syllables, and then I will try to create enough words or the words I need to create the cadence I want to fit, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it's almost like a math equation. You're not only limited by words because it's a song, so you can't just like, right, basically wax poetic on everything because you have like 3.5 minutes to fit this in. So you're already limited by that. But then you're also limited by, like you said, cadence and rhythm, and you're limited by rhyme. So do you have a certain rhyme scheme that you use on all of your? Yeah, is there a scheme like that
A
in
lot of
rap as
time
well?
it's AABB, AAA,
Hmm.
BBBB. Depending on the song, sometimes you'll do a ABCB or ABCA. I've made a rap with hakuing before, just to do it. And it made sense on the instrumental I was rapping on.
So do you have like a rhyme scheme that you gravitate towards that comes more natural to you? Like when you find yourself just sort of like thinking about a new song or a beat, does it generally follow the same type of pattern? Then you got to get in there and fix it up a little bit.
Can you repeat that one more time?
Yeah, that was a that was a long way to ask a probably a pretty easy question. When you start to think about a song that you're writing, or maybe a beat comes in your head, is it normally the same type of rhyme scheme? And then you gotta be like, no, I'm always doing A B A B A B. I need to mix this up.
Say 65 to 70% of the time it's going to be some type of AABB or all A and all B for the first four bars, but the other 30 to 35% I do mix it up. And a lot of times that just depends on the melody or the scheme, and the beat itself sometimes is shaped in a way where it fits better with different rhyme schemes.
Do you start with a beat in mind and then you kind of find the topic of the song, or do you have a theme in mind and you sort of write that out and then find the beat that matches it?
Nowadays I have the beat before I come up with the concept. The beat will give me like a vibe, an energy. The new word's aura. It'll give me some type of feeling, and I try to create a concept out of that feeling that it relates to. So
Hmm.
obviously, if you listen to like any song that has any love song, if you take away the lyrics, the song itself is probably going to direct you more towards the lovey-dovey feeling. Beats with heavy subs and crazy kick and drops. It's probably going to be more up-tempo, hard tracks.
It's really interesting because that's something, especially with music, that you have two things that are working at the same time. You have the music, right, whatever instruments you're using, or a beat and rap, and then you have the lyrics. One of my favorite songwriters is Bruce Springsteen, and I remember he would write these like really upbeat pop songs, like they would sound very poppy. But if you listen to the lyrics, or someone covered that song and slowed it way down, the lyrics matched much more to like a really sad song, but he would frame them in these like really fancy pop ballads, but the writing was like super sad a lot of times. It was just this weird like juxtaposition, right, against this really poppy sound but these really heavy lyrics.
Yeah, it's kind of like when someone's sad and like they'll say they're all right, but if you know the background of it's all right, they're not, you know? And now it's
Right.
really
Yeah.
it's even sadder if that makes sense.
Yeah, it's like they're smiling, but you can tell they're just miserable. Yeah, yeah. So, as a writer, I'm going to ask you two questions. So, the first one is, as a songwriter, who were some of your influences? And the second follow up is, as a performer, who were some of your influences? So, we'll start with writing first, as a songwriter.
My early like influences for songwriting were probably Ludacris and Eminem in that order. Ludacris is real comical, and Eminem has always been his cadences and his wordplay are great, and I even today kind of rap comically, but at a technical skill where you have to respect it, if that makes sense. What was the second one
The
after
second one,
writers?
like like as a performer, who
Oh,
did you?
performers.
Yeah.
My favorite rapper of all time right now is MGK. He beefed with Eminem. There's a lot of hate. I'm a true fan. I'm a stand by him no matter what. But when it comes to performances, I've seen him live, and he goes crazy. He's in the crowd. He's hanging on the rafters. He's hanging from the lights. And then also, I went to a lot of metal shows growing up. My brothers were metalheads and went the full goth route and all that. It was cool for the time. And so most performances I've ever went to were those, and there was mosh pits and screamo.
Hmm.
So I can't do it at my school because it's a bunch of older people, supporting their grandkids,
Right. Right.
and it's there's seats. It's not like a garage in Meade, Tennessee, where you can play loud and cops won't show up. There used to be a local like scene called Rage Fest. So when I do get the chance, I do like getting really hype and going into the crowd. A lot of the sound guys don't like that though.
I'm sure they gotta make sure that you don't carry a cord or rip something out.
So I do try to work the whatever floor I have. Just jumping to the future a little bit, I went to Blue Mountain College a little bit for biblical studies, and in our preaching class, I kind of take how I rap now. Like when I perform, I took it from preaching class. The Southern Baptist teaching is eventually, for one point, you go to the left side and work the left side of the congregation. You go back in the middle, and then the third point, you go to the right side and work that congregation. And so when you see me perform, it's kind of second nature. I do work to the left for like the first verse or to the right for the first verse. The choruses, you'll see me in the middle, backed up. I'll go to the other side, come back, and for the final push, I'll kind of like go up front and work more.
It's so interesting. So, like your performance is almost impacted more from your seminary or your preaching background than
Hmm.
any kind of like band performance or anything like that. So, this is the second time you've mentioned sort of the religious aspect of your personal life. So, I'm going to ask you about that. Is that part of your life woven into your music as well? Like, is that a big thing or a theme within your music?
Yeah, growing up, I've learned the what do you call it? The lesson of reputation. And
Okay.
reputation matters, especially in the Christian doctrine, the Christian faith and belief. And so something I don't do, I don't cuss in my raps. I used to, and truthfully, there was ways when I first started I didn't, and then I got into it, and then I kind of came back, and I'm back to where I'm pretty solid now. I don't have to cuss to rap, and I'll go bar for bar with anybody that cusses in their raps. That ain't gonna hold me back. And then I kind of look at it as a deterrent now. I used to rap fast. I'm kind of more simple and catchy now, and that's what makes a hit. I learned that through Lambeth. But when I used to rap fast, when I cussed, I felt like I said like MF and all these other words to fill in because it's easy to say. They all roll. It's crazy how curse words roll off the tongue so easily. And so instead of coming up with two more syllables, I'll just put the F word in there with the ER. And so I do find it makes it easier, or it's a deterrent to quality lyrics. But I also understand how some rappers, they want you to really feel that bar, so they might drop the D word at the end. It also might go with like Kendrick Lamar does that, but it resonates. Like I feel him on that. It's just something
Yeah.
I don't do.
I think that's interesting. And I was going to bring that up as a writer as well. It does seem like because profanities, and I've used them in things that I've written before, but like you said, to make a specific point, like they can't be overused or they do lose any kind of effectiveness that they may have to begin with. And they may not have any at all, but I'm just saying they're easy to overuse, I think. The second thing is they don't have an assigned part of speech to them. You could use the same word as an adjective, a verb, a noun, and like you said, you could just lazily plug it in. And in some ways, not cursing probably made you become a better writer, or at least more focused on the details of writing.
Yeah, there's been times I'm like, when I was transitioning back in, I was like, man, I wish I could just throw that in there. But I do enjoy my mom being able to listen to my lyrics. I don't think she does it much, but when she does, she's not like, and then calls me and gets on to me about it.
Is that one of those things that you promote, or is it one of those things that people, if they listen to you enough, they're going to come to the realization, oh, like, hey, he does curse.
I think both. I do promote it, and then also folks do notice it. Another thing about not cussing, I've also went from, I stay away from rated R, but I dwell in the PG-13 realm. I do hit subjects that are, and when I, all right, cool.
No, there you go. You keep going. We're good.
But hold on one second. I'm sorry, I lost track of where I was at.
No, you said that you try to keep your songs in more of like a PG.
In that way, it broadens my audience. Not having that explicit sign helps with paperwork. You can reach all the platforms that explicit content is on. You can reach those and PG-13 and PG. I do try to keep in mind for the younger people. I do rap in a way that wouldn't upset parents. On my song Get Educated, I say it's about a student and a teacher. The teacher's rapping to him. The student, who is me, I'm playing myself. The teacher's rapping to him. In a high school class is the concept saying you need to go to college, quit rapping. The student comes back in the second verse to rebuttal, and one bar I say is, why this gotta be my future? Is this really gonna help me? Why can't I get direct answers? Show us how to get some money so daughters don't turn into dancers. You know, I feel like that's PG, but it's also a rude awakening to a lot of people. I'm like, man, you need to teach money in school, you know? So
It's in,
that's like a message I'm pushing.
that's something like what I noticed is you referenced a line about essentially stripping, but you left it in a way that is still PG, and you wrote it with the emphasis on what's not being taught in schools rather than emphasizing what her chosen profession might be, right? Hypothetically, if she were
Yeah.
to not get this education. And I remember reading something recently about why Ernest Hemingway was such a good writer, and it was because of the things that he didn't say when he wrote, but that the reader knew he was saying anyway. And that's that like that line that you just said is a great example of that.
Kid
Like,
might not understand that line, but it's like watching a cartoon from back in the day and you hear the adult jokes within it now.
that's right. Yep.
That same thing.
Yeah. That's good. I like that. I mean, I really like that line. That's a strong line, a strong point, and it was only what, three or four lines just right there. Yeah, that's writing. That right there, that's writing. That's great. While we're still on this topic here, I'm going to bring up a song I just listened to and you just released a couple weeks ago, Aladdin.
Yes.
Yes, okay, I like it. Now, it started out, and I've always sort of liked this meshing of genres, right? Because the song starts out with like an acoustic guitar, like that's yeah, just which traditionally is more like a country sound. There is some of that, like there's a little twang at the beginning of it, and then all of a sudden it's hip hop, right? So I love the meshing of that. I've always liked that. Is that something that you like as well, or is that just when you're in the studio, y'all just wanted to add that at the beginning?
Since I've gone to Lambeth, around a bunch of rock people. I am the minority when it comes to listening to hip hop and pursuing it. I would say they've influenced me in that way. The beats I listen to and the music I listen to definitely has changed in the last 3 years. And then along with my lessons of simple and catchy, I do try to push more mainstreaming pop rap now. So the more pop rap is probably like Aladdin. I would consider that pop rap. And I don't mind that. Folks can hate if they want. You know, I'm not a gangster. I don't, yeah, you know. And if I rap gangsta, they would call me out for being fake. But if I don't rap it, they'll say I'm not a rapper. It's a weird culture in the rap
Yeah,
game.
they're gonna find something to be negative about for
So, but
sure.
yeah, that's definitely something. I've got a new song I'm working on. I had Shane Bastable, best guitarist ever. You just don't know about him yet. That's the thing, You didn't know about Slasher until Slasher was Slasher. You'll soon find out about Shane Bastable one day. He put a guitar solo in my song, and it felt so right.
Is that something that you would have never thought of before until you've been around different types of musicians at Memphis or University of Memphis at Lambeth?
Yeah, and I have the opportunity to use them too. You know,
Right.
I've never sat in a place where I'm like, man, do I want live drums? Do I want a live guitar? Uh, so also going back to MGK, he's kind of a rock star rapper. If you listen, he's a rock star now. He doesn't rap as much anymore, but his older rap stuff, a lot of guitar and rock stuff on it. So that's another influence of it.
Very limited in my genre of rap and hip hop, just admittedly so. Okay. So please don't like make fun of me for how limited I am. But would you be offended if I were to say, like, whenever I first heard Aladdin in the opening, it reminded me of a couple of Post Malone songs that I've heard? Is that offensive?
See that?
Okay, it's the guitar part mainly, right? But then I don't know if you're familiar with Everlast or Whitey Ford. Did you
I've
ever?
heard of Everlast, not the second one though.
Okay, so I think the Whitey Ford might have been the album name of one of theirs, but he was also a hip hop artist, but he worked in a lot of that acoustic guitar or that guitar sound to his too. So those are two who sort of came to mind whenever I first heard that. But Everlast is you might like them.
Yeah,
Late
I can
'90s.
see the Post Malone relation. I will say I'm not a new metal rapper. Like
Okay,
Linkin Park, that's not my vibe.
gotcha, gotcha.
They're considered new metal, something like that.
Yeah, not that's not.
That's not me.
So as you've been at University of Memphis at Lambeth, and I do want to talk about recording with no reverse, like how much has that program helped you learn about music production? If you need to grab that, that's fine.
Guys,
It's all right.
let me turn my phone off so we ain't got to worry about that no more.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, like how much has that taught you about the production, recording? Had you even recorded before you came to Lambeth?
I used to record myself with $100 mic and $100 laptop, and I'd throw them things on SoundCloud, you know?
Yeah.
And I used a digital audio workstation, DAW for short. I used DAW, the DAW Mixcraft, and I just used presets. I knew it needed compression, I knew it needed EQ, but I didn't know how to do it and never really wanted to learn. So I would just do presets, which I now know aren't the best option, but they're better than nothing. So since I've been there, my quality of music has completely changed. They have their own studio there now that I record about as much as I do in my own home studio. And just learning the science behind it. So nowadays, I'll put a light compressor first, and then I will do equalizer, EQ, and then add some other plugins. And since I've even been there learning those basics, I've step by step gotten more advanced with it to where, like Aladdin, I produced that. I mixed and mastered it. That was all
Wow.
me. And so some people, they have asked, who mixed or mastered that? Your boy. Because I ain't got the money to pay you.
Right.
I'm not rich and famous yet, or if I ever become, but it's better to do it myself. And then it's a commercial music program, so you don't learn as much recording technology as main campus, but Dr. Tubbs is there to teach you whatever you ask. And so I've put myself in a position to always ask him questions and come to the studio, which he has always been more willing to do and teach me that recording technology side that I want. But I'm also required to learn the music business side of it. So we've learned about contracts. I forgot the specific word, but like you've heard of a 360 deal, right? Basically, you sign everything to a record label. They get your merchandise 100%. They get all your streaming 100%. They get your masters 100%. They get all show ticket sales 100%. They don't say 360 deal in the record contracts. It's some type of word that starts with an A.
Hmm.
And just, you learn industry standard stuff. Like, if you as an artist sign to any label, you never give up your merchandise. That's how you make your money. They can have all your streams, they can have your masters if they helped with the music, but like when you're on the road touring, you have to pay them back. And if they're making all the money from everything you do, how are you going to pay them back? And you get a very small percentage. The industry standard's like 5% or no.
So how does no, because I know no reverse is they have a different model, right? Than
They have
that.
a what they call artist first model. I don't know how deep I can get into it, but I don't think it'd be too much. Like they do an 80-20 split,
Hmm.
and that's over everything. So I get the 80%,
Yeah.
they get the 20. That incentivizes them, I feel like, to try to promote me, market me better because they want to make money out of that 20%. And then, if I'm not mistaken, I don't think my merchandise was in the contract unless we agreed to work together. So if I ended up being lazy or not figuring it out, was too overworked, I can come up to them and say, "Can y'all help me develop and distribute this merchandise?" And then again, it would be an 80-20 split minus their front end cost.
So
It's really nice. I'll be honest with you.
with the go ahead.
I have an artist Instagram now, artist TikTok. They post stuff for me. Sometimes I'll wake up and I have full access to it as well. I'll wake up and see I got 30 likes on a post and I didn't post nothing. But it's them creating promotional content for me already. That's something I really don't dwell in. And I
Yeah,
just love it.
that's awesome. Well, and even the 80-20 split, like it should incentivize the artist as well because you're like, if I go out and I'm successful, then I get the lion's share of this. And obviously they're going to get their 20% too, but I would think I would be more motivated that way as an artist than the other way around, knowing that you're just going to have to like funnel all that money back to where it came from to begin
Yes,
with.
sir. And then we agreed upon in the contract a project, just one project, one album. Um, and so after I give them the one album, we're done.
Hmm.
It is a minimum year long though, so if, we plan on dropping the album in October, and
Hmm.
so that would give them 3 months to push all the content.
Hmm.
And so a lot of record labels, a lot of contracts, they want you for they want the time of the next 10 years, and they want you to promise 5 albums. And what happens is you might be shelved, or you might not do good. That happens.
Hmm.
It's an investment, and now you're in debt $300,000, and you can't post any music anymore for the next 10 years
Right. You're on the hook. Yeah.
because of them.
You're locked up in that. Aladdin, is that the first single off this album that's going to be coming out?
Yes, sir. That's going to be in there.
Okay. How many singles are you going to put out ahead of the release? Do y'all know that yet?
The plan is to drop one a month.
Okay. Nice. Do you know what the next one's going to be?
We are deciding between two songs now.
Okay. So it's more of a collaboration. So you are trying to make the decision about like, hey, what goes into that process? Like, is it just the feel of the song, the vibe, depending on like what is it, does it need to run counter to what Aladdin is a little bit or?
We had one set up. I was asked to keep it a little under wraps because it might have a little bit more workings in it locally. But we have a bigger picture for that one now. And so now we're discussing two other ones to drop for this next coming month. And so we changed our original plan and trying to create a new one now. Because I did stress to Miss Ashley, I do want one a month. I've been telling folks for years I'm dropping music on all platforms. I'm what they've been waiting on forever.
How's the response been to Aladdin, to some of the stuff that you're
I know on
releasing? Like,
Spotify we have over 1,000 views.
okay.
I know all my social media is getting minimum 100 viewership, whether it's a story or a post now, which is more than it's ever been. I think on YouTube the lyric video drops this week, but on YouTube Music itself it has over 1,000 views, and so accumulatively they get quarterly reviews from the distributor, so I'll know in the next like month and a half, 2 months, but
Hmm.
not for sure. But I know I have a couple thousand views already, which is
That's great.
nice.
Yeah, for your first single for sure. And you're gonna be playing at the Vintage Makers Fest, correct?
Yes, sir. You'll
in
hear that
May
song that we had to switch up.
that you had to shelve. Okay. So is this, will this, it's going to be a pretty big crowd, but I mean, you've performed in front of crowds before. How is this going to compare to like some of the other performances?
This will be the biggest local.
Okay.
I've performed in school, I've performed in church, I've performed at specific events like in Memphis, artist collaborative
Hmm.
hangout, but this is going to be local, and I'm pretty the first. It's bigger. The first year it had a good turnout. Last year was even bigger. So this year, I would say maybe some important people who are into the local music scene are going to be able to hear me, and I hope to get some more opportunities through that. And so I plan on trying to be the best performer out there. Other genres don't call their genres games. The rap calls the rap game. It is competitive. It always has been.
Hmm.
People do a lot of comparisons. So I plan on and I've realized there's been a lot of rude awakenings for other artists around here that aren't rap when I tell everybody I'm better than them. And that's okay. So I plan on being the best there and making everybody else feel like their performance was lackluster, you know?
You got to be confident to go out
I
there.
want them to talk about me.
Last question, or one of the last questions I have. From the outside, it seems like the three major tenets of being a musical artist is obviously you've got to know something about production. You said that you mixed Aladdin and all that yourself. You have to be able to perform, right? Like you actually have the talent to rap or to sing. And you got to market yourself, right? So there's the marketing, the performance aspect, and the production aspect. Where do you have the most confidence out of those three areas? Like right now, Chance Mitchell, Arctic, like you could say, I am the best at which one of these do you feel the most comfortable?
I got the best songs. I got
Okay.
bars. Something I wrote recently is I say local rappers get stepped on under my Converse. Labels trying to converse your boy a felon. This a Converse. School of Hard Knocks. Graduated with honors. You know, I did a triple entendre with the word
Yeah.
Converse. I'm coming for him. I'll be honest with you.
Do you set out like it's probably not as formulaic as it is in my mind, but do you have like goals when you're writing songs like, hey, I want to try to hit a triple entendre. Like I want to try to work that into this.
Sometimes it's just in the moment. Like when I was writing that, I was wearing Converse at that moment, and I was feeling myself. So local rappers get stepped on under my Converse. Me and Miss Ashley, it just clicked. I was like, well, we're conversing. I kind of
Hmm.
played it off like conversing,
Hmm.
and then man, to be honest, thinking back at it now, it's just magic sometimes when you're writing, you know. And then the third bar came instantly. I'm a felon. This a converse. So
Are you, oh, a converse because you're a convict. This is the verse of the you did. Yeah, triple entendre. Because at first I was like, "Where's the third?" I got it. See, for me, it takes. I got to hear it twice. I got to hear it twice.
another bar I got is I'm the best around here with the metaphors. I got my face in the book. What I need metaphor.
That's good. So, how long did that just like sort of come to your? Do you walk around with like a notes app in your hand or like something to write down? So when these lines come to you, just jot them down real quick.
Yes, I used to do it with
Okay.
a notebook, and I have a shoebox, and it has all my raps from seventh grade to 10th. And that's when I started using my phone more. And to this day, I use my phone. If I'm driving the car, I'll play a beat and I'll just be freestyling, trying to come up with something. And if I'm at a red light or stoplight, or whenever I get to my location, I'll write it down. When I'm at school and I might be in a classroom, if I'm not really that, what do you call it, in class, you might see me look a couple times and write some lyrics that I'm thinking of, you know?
Do you ever go back and read some of the things that you wrote when you were in seventh or eighth grade or ninth grade or
It's so
tenth
corny.
grade, and
Oh,
you're
it's
like,
so
"Oh, this is."
bad.
But do you ever go back and you look and you're like, "Oh, that was pretty good." Like this
Yeah, I
still
do.
like
Sometimes
okay.
I've actually done that a couple times. A song I'm working on right now called Felon.
Hmm.
I think this is the one I'll be performing at the ensemble concert this semester for my last semester. It's an old song. Yeah, I wrote it when I was in jail, and I wrote one verse and wrote a chorus, wrote half a second verse, and then I was looking through it the other day, and I saw it, and I felt re-inspired, and now I've finished the second verse, and I'm almost done with the third. And
So
I didn't change anything from the originals. It was all good.
Wow. And how old were you when you wrote that? How long ago was that?
18. I got locked up immediately after high school.
Okay.
So,
What for?
yeah.
If you don't mind, or do you? We don't have to talk about that if you don't want to.
Auto burglary. I didn't steal
Okay.
a car, but I went into a car, you know,
So yeah,
dummy stuff. I'm over it now.
how long? How long did you have to stay in jail?
Longest stretch I did was 11 and a half months.
Okay.
Don Allen let me go 2 weeks early to go to rehab.
How much did you write while you were in there? I know you wrote obviously that Felon song, but did you get a lot of writing done?
Other than that Felon song and one other, I didn't write much. I had like writer's block in jail. I had no instrumentals,
Hmm.
and the writer, I guess, I don't know if it was too many things going on in my head, but like even when I was in jail, when I'd go to sleep, I would dream about being in that same jail. I never dreamt
Mm.
about being outside. And so one of the bars, how I come out with the first verse is my mind's locked up, I'm not even dreaming. And if I do, I'm
Mm.
still in jail looking at the ceiling. And so that I think I was able to write that felon song just because I was living in the moment.
There. It's all that was, yeah. I mean, it sounds like that was just all that your brain could honestly handle at that point was just did things immediately shift for you when you got out, or was there a sort of a process to
I
kind of growing up?
immediately, when I got out to go to rehab, it was Teen Challenge, which is faith based, and I got back right with God, man. And during that time, I consecrated myself not to focus on music as well. So all the time I was at Teen Challenge, I wasn't rapping. I was focused on trying to just change myself. But once I got out, is when I was a free man, no probation. It's been a long time since the initial arrest. That's when I started doing music again. I kind of left it alone to get myself together, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, no, for sure. Do you work that in? Like, is that like part of your show? I mean, do people know your story? Is that something that you
They
are
will with
vocal about?
Felon. Just you have to know me personally. I'm open with it, and I'm a funny guy. I joke around about it a lot. I make the most out of being a felon. They're like, "Chance, you good?" I'm like, "You can't trust me, man. You know me."
Yeah, hey, you got to laugh at stuff, especially if you're on the other side of it, right? Like it is what it is.
I'll, I was gonna
Go ahead.
say one thing about being a felon though and being a rapper is that it actually helps.
I was gonna say
I got some skin in the game
that's
now,
right.
you know.
It adds some legitimacy, right? So, how do you see this playing out? I know that for No Reverse, you said it's like a one year deal. You got Vintage Makers coming up. You got an album coming up. Like, what does the next 5 to 10 years look like for Arctic in your mind?
I want to at minimum, be able to live off of my music regionally minimum for a few years, and if I can make an extra 1,000 a month for the rest of my life after stopping touring and stuff and working in the music industry itself, whether it's an AR agent, whether it's a tour manager, whether I'm working at a news station as a sound guy, whether it's at a mega church who can afford to pay me to be a sound guy, whether I'm a live stream guy or a sound guy at a venue. I I did want this degree also to be able to lean on that. I want to be able to have a salary while also pursuing and living my dreams. I can pursue it forever. Killer Mike, 2 Grammys ago, has never won any awards, has never really been big famous. He was just a regional rapper from up in New York. Only New Yorkers really knew about him. And he won a Grammy, at 43 years old. I wouldn't mind that. I kind of have a realistic viewpoint in my mind. Another rapper, Mo3 from Louisiana and Texas. He died last year, but nobody in California is bumping Mo3. They don't know much about him, but from Texas to North Carolina,
Hmm.
everybody who listens to rap knew who Mo3 was, and I wouldn't mind being in that position, and I would hope to be in that position.
Yeah. There's something to be said for regional acts, right? Like because there's a lot of that local culture that's sort of bred into them as well, and there's a
The reason we
connecting
don't
points.
respect Jay-Z as an artist in the South is because he was a regional rapper who became a businessman and a billionaire by marrying Beyonce. We don't bump Jay-Z around here. They don't bump Lil Boosie up there, you
Right.
know? But everybody
Yeah.
knows who Lil Boosie is around here, and he makes millions off of it.
Yeah. And that's really like, and from what I'm hearing you say is you just want to be successful enough to do something in the industry that's going to support you.
Yeah, I'm from a big family. I got a fiance. We get married in September. I want to
Congratulations.
be able to support her and have money to have kids.
For sure. Kids
You
are
know,
expensive.
we've never been able to travel a lot. I didn't marry her family ain't rich, my family ain't rich. You know, we want to be able to travel comfortably one day. I look forward to living life like my grandpa, being able to give people money and go do stuff whenever I want.
That'd be nice. Retired and well set. So tell everybody, where can they hear you? Where can they stream you? Where can they see you? All of it. Lay it out.
Everybody, if you look up Arctic, Artic, it's not Arctic like the Arctic tundra. It's supposed to sound like it. I sound cold. It's a play on words.
I like it.
Artic, Arctic, and if you put in Aladdin right after, you will find it immediately on all music platforms. That's the only song out right now, so that's your best way of finding me. Instagram is Arctic731. And then also on Facebook, you can add my personal account, Chance Mitchell. You'll see me rapping in a red shirt. And there's also a music page, but we don't really push on Facebook that much. So
Probably good. Facebook is
Instagram, YouTube, and TikTok is where we're at.
awesome. Man, Chance, I appreciate you sitting down and having the conversation. I'm looking forward to seeing you at Vintage Makers Fest
Yes, sir.
and hearing some more singles when they drop. So Spotify, Apple Music, YouTube Music, I guess. Like you're out there everywhere.
We got SoundCloud. We got it all.
Got it all. Chance Mitchell, Arctic. The way I found it, Spotify is my streaming platform form of choice. I typed in Arctic and Aladdin, and it popped right up. And I was greeted by some nice acoustic guitar before you hit some of those bars. It was good. Thank you so much, Chance. I really appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, buddy.